Okay, if you're very afraid right now because of what you're seeing in the news, because of the coronavirus, and maybe because of other stuff that you might see in the news, and you don't know how to deal with your fear, with your obsessive thoughts about like what's happening. I think that's for you what I'm gonna say. And I don't know how to do this. This feels a little bit weird because I'm trying to make a video. I tried already before and it feels like I'm forcing it a little bit. But I want to say this, like, if you are afraid, if you are having a fear and a lot of fears that are coming up during the day that you cannot control, if you're having a lot of like fearful thoughts that you're trying to control and it doesn't work, and you're the kind of person that's like that knows about the law of attraction, that knows about all spiritual mainstream beliefs that are like that people have, like your thoughts create your reality. So therefore, if you were having a lot of fearful thoughts, then you're going to manifest bad stuff in your life and all. Then you're probably also someone who is trying to work on himself and who's trying to reprogram like his thought patterns, and who's trying to like have less negative thoughts and have more positive thoughts, which is what I tried to do for a very long fucking time in my life, and it didn't work. And the reason like that hardly works is because um, what you're trying to do, if you're trying to control your thoughts, first of all, okay, let's say you're trying to control your thoughts, your fearful thoughts about the coronavirus. What you're trying to do basically is you're trying to control 1% of what's happening in your mind. And 99% of what's happening in your mind, you're not in direct control of, because it lies beyond your, let's say, your usual awareness level. So you can only directly change the thoughts that you consciously think. But the problem is 99% of your thoughts go unchecked. They go on the ground and you don't see them. You don't get to see them, because this is how our mind works. If you were conscious of all of your thoughts, then you'd be completely overwhelmed. It wouldn't be possible to to live a normal life, you know. And so that's why most of the change that you want to do in your life and you want to do to your mind and to your personality, you cannot do directly. And because this is how the mind works, like there's the conscious mind and there's the subconscious. And what you want to change, if you really want to change, rewire your mind, is like you want to change your subconscious mind, because this is like 99% of who you are. It's 99% of your personality. So what do? First off, if you're having fearful thoughts, you can, if you want, you can block them consciously. You can do that. But it's only gonna block it. It is an effort that you will have to exert um, all the time, basically. And the fearful thoughts, they are going to come up and they're going to continue as long as the fear in your body is activated, you know? And then maybe the fear is gonna like die down and there's no longer gonna be the fear in your body. But as soon as the fear is gonna be activated again by the news, for example, or by something someone tells you, then all the thoughts are gonna come rushing in, and you will have to do the exact same thing again, which is like to block every thought, like with conscious effort. And again, like you can do that. You can block a thought consciously. It is just that it is completely ineffective in the long run. And the reason why is because the reason why you have fearful thoughts is because, well, you could say because they're generated by a fear that you feel in your body, but most of all because you have beliefs, subconscious beliefs in your mind that you are not aware of and that you are not changing and that you cannot change directly. Or maybe you can, but it would take so much effort and so much fucking time that it's not even worth mentioning. So, my advice when it comes to really you have a fear, and you can't control your thoughts and you're having a very hard time, instead of focusing on the thoughts, you go back into the body. You pull your awareness from thoughts back to the body. You let thoughts be. You let them come. If you want to block them, you can block them. That's fine, but you don't have to. You can just let them run. And instead of applying conscious effort to your thoughts, you apply conscious effort to your body. So what you do is you bring back your consciousness into your physical body, and you try to the best of your ability to observe your emotions. And it's quite easy because if you're having a very bad time and if you're in a fear, then there's a lot of work there to do. So there's a lot of stuff that you can observe in your body. So you bring back your consciousness to your body, okay? You feel your body, you feel your belly, you can feel your arms, your breath if you want, you can relax a little bit. That's just the first step. But then the goal is really to put your focus on the emotion that you're feeling. And the emotion of fear that you're feeling is somewhere between your neck and your waist. It's just it's here. And so you observe it, and you basically, that's just all you do. You observe it with the understanding that an emotion is a reflection in your body of something that you're subconsciously holding in your mind. And what your body is doing by manifesting this fear inside of you, it's basically talking to you. It's basically showing you, saying to you, hey, you've got something in your mind that you're not aware of, and this is what it is. This is the energy part of it. This is the physical part of it. This is the fear. So you can heal it, or the fear tells you, you can heal me by acknowledging me, by stopping to repress me, because you gotta understand that the default of human beings is to repress what they have in their mind and what is happening in their body that they don't like. We all do that. We run away from our thoughts, which is what you're trying to do. If you don't want fearful thoughts, you're trying to run away from them, You're trying to control them. It doesn't work that way, because fearful thoughts don't want to be controlled. Fear doesn't want to be controlled. Fear wants to be loved. Fear wants to be acknowledged. And what you're doing as a default, because you're a human being like everyone else, unless you're an alien, you're a Pleiadian or something, what you're doing is you are resisting the emotion. So what's going to happen is you feel the fear in your body, and part of you just doesn't want to do that. You're you're looking at it and you're is it gonna get worse? Is it gonna increase? You're gonna put your focus is gonna go back to thought, because you don't want to look at the emotion. And so it takes a lot of practice to do that, but it's so worth it. So you're gonna see that there's the emotion, and then there's a lot of emotions in the periphery, and you're gonna realize that you have a fear of the fear. Maybe you are angry that you have a fear. Maybe you are ashamed or you're guilty, and you're gonna realize that in your body, physically, there's a fear at the core, and then there's one, two, three, four, five layers of different emotions around it. And basically, what this shows you is what's happening in your mind. And what's happening in your mind is like you have beliefs about reality, about other people, and about yourself that are like stacked up like that, you know? So you believe you're not enough. Therefore, you believe that you have to be loved by other people. Therefore, you believe that you have to have this kind of job. Therefore, you believe that in order to have this kind of job, you have to do these daily actions. And this is like all stacked up in your mind. And what's happening in your body, it's the same, just with emotions. And so that's just my advice for people who struggle with fear right now, looking at the news, because I just looked at the news, you know, and I realized like the goal of the news is to make you feel fear in order to control you, in order to control your attention, you know, in order for you like to look to keep checking the news. That's what they want, because then you see the ads and then they get money. That's how it works. And the thing is, a lot of people like my parents, they watch the news all day long, and like they don't care about controlling the fear or all. But I'm making this video for people who actually want to do something about it. And also the problem is like people like me who are into this like spirituality, we've seen a lot of like spiritual stuff that tells you oh, if you're in fear, you're gonna manifest bad stuff in your life. You are going to attract bad events in your life. And there's a lot of spiritual fluff, a lot of spiritual videos who don't actually teach you what's happening in your body and in your mind. And they don't teach you that the worst thing you can do to a fearful thought and a fearful emotion especially is to resist it. Because when you resist it, it just increases. And maybe for a time you repress it and you make it unconscious in your body. But soon enough, your body is going to show you, boom, like, hey, you've got this fear in you. And it's just going to be triggered by a new event in your life. Because that's how it works. You're basically energetically interacting with the world all the time. You're not separate from the world. And so in a way, you're kind of like manifesting that which is triggering you, but it's a limited paradigm. What's better to, it's better, I think, to see it like your spiritual like being, your soul who incarnates in a body. And then you're going through all of these experiences to become a better human being, a more loving being. And that's why you have news and shitty events in your life showing up, like the coronavirus, because it enables you to see how fearful of a being you are. And the proof is that different people are going to react in a totally different way to the same event. And so you're gonna see people whom you admire, like spiritual leaders, or I don't know, people like Tony Robbins, or people who are very positive in their lives, you know, maybe famous athletes or whatever. They're gonna talk about these topics as if it doesn't even reach them, like they don't give a fuck about the coronavirus or stuff like that, because they know how to deal with their emotions and they know what's important in their lives. And I've just seen like that there's I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's like 150,000 people infected on Earth. I think that's the case. I'm not sure 100%. It's just what I read in the news. But let's say it's true, you know? It's just not about numbers. It's about emotions, this video. But there's 150,000 people who are infected and 6,000 people who died since the beginning, you know, in like February. Like, compared to almost 8 billion people living on the planet, that is completely irrelevant. And the problem is when you watch the media it's just it is just presenting you on a silver tablet or whatever. It's presenting you a very, very, very tiny fraction of what is happening in the world. And there is so much more that's going on that is never mentioned in the media whatsoever. And so the media is just presenting you such a small amount of what is actually happening in the world. And that which it is showing to you is not even important. And it is trying to make it so important so that you're in fear. That's all that's happening. So right now in the world, you have people freaking out. You have also the governments like taking radical measures, or how do you say, like really, the governments are like doing stuff like shutting off entire countries and all, and borders. This is just supposed to make people fearful because there is no threat. I don't think there's a threat. This is not a threat. But people think it is because they feel like it. Most people are in fear. And I was also thinking like there is people in the Middle East, Arabic people who are struggling since they were born. And I am 100% sure with you that they couldn't care less about the coronavirus because they are dealing with potential death within like a few hours or the next day, And European people, American people, white people, we are just so used to be in a comfort and to be in our comfort zone and not to be just like in a flight or fight response, kind of like how do you say, stance, or not stance, but like emotional state, that we just see something crazy in the news and we completely lose our minds. And to me it's just crazy. There are thousands, I don't even know, millions of people who die all the time in the world, every day probably, and no one gives a shit. No one gives a fuck. And now we're completely crazy because there are 6,000 people who died from a virus. It's completely insane. Like, okay, if you're fearful about that, I get it. But then why aren't you fearful about 99% of the rest of the stuff that's happening in the world every day? It's because you're completely brainwashed by the media and by the news. And that's very sad. But at the same time, that's how it is. Because we grow up watching the media and you gotta accept that. So now that you're like that, the best thing you can do is accept what you're thinking, accept what you're feeling, and don't resist it. Look at it, observe it. And you're gonna see that when you observe an emotion without resisting it, after a while, it just goes away. And so it does take time, like, to implement this habit in your life and to become good at it. But really, all you have to do is observe an emotion, stop resisting it, and then it's gone. And then all the thoughts that were triggered by that emotion, you don't have anymore. And then you find yourself, you catch yourself thinking about other stuff, thinking about your next holiday, or about what you want to eat, or about something you want to do, something positive. And you're like, this is really weird. I don't even have to force myself to think positive thoughts. And the truth is, you don't have to force yourself to think positive thoughts. All you need to do is to stop resisting the negative emotions that arise in you. And I think if you're someone who's smart about personal growth and spirituality, this will ring true to you. Because when I read about this practice and about like how this works, I was like, I should have known that from the beginning. This is like resisting what's happening inside of you. That's not natural. That's not the path to more love, health, happiness, joy. So you have to start with acceptance and love towards what's happening within you. It takes practice, but it's definitely the best thing you can do to address your fear, in my opinion. So that's what I think about all of that. I hope this video is not just me masturbating to what I'm saying. I hope it is actually gonna help someone, because otherwise, I mean, it's just a fun thing to do, but I hope it's gonna help you. So thanks for listening. And I'm not gonna tell you like, don't be afraid, it's weakening your immune system. No, if you are afraid, it's fine. Just don't resist it. Be fully afraid. Increase the fear. Ask for more fear in your body. And be like, you can lay down doing this at the beginning. It's easier. You lay down. You ask more fear and you observe it and you let it completely overwhelm you. And it's horrible. It sucks. It's not a nice like meditation to do. But if you do that, you're gonna notice after a while, boom, it's gone. It's just gone. It's no longer there, and you feel a sense of relief and not pain, relief and peace. You feel relief and peace. Like you'll know when that happens. You'll know the fear is gone, and then you'll be like, wow, I get this now. Thanks for listening.